Assalamu alaikum, dear fellows, and welcome to today's lecture, which is based on the research ethics, AI, and plagiarism. Please let me know if my voice is not. I guess it's clear. Today we will study about the research ethics. That what are the research ethics, and what is AI, and how you have to work on the AI in your article, and how you can use the AI for research purpose, and what is plagiarism, and how much percentage and details are required for the plagiarism. So we will be working on these things today, and we will be studying these details. So the learning objective of this lecture is that we will try to understand the core principle of research ethics, that what are the research ethics and how we can work on the research ethics, and what should you keep in mind while working on any of the research article, any of the research idea which you want to work on. So we will understand the principle of research ethics, and then we will work on the other details, and like identify the ethical challenges in the medical research, and then evaluate the role of the AI in the modern research, and we will recognize the and prevent and study about that how to prevent the plagiarism, and apply all the ethical practices using real medical research examples. And after that, you people will be able to work on any of the research topic, any of the research ethics details, and you will be able to find out the basics of the all ethics. And if while working on any research idea, you will be informed about that what type of ethical concerns you want to approve for this particular research. So first of all, let's discuss that what is research ethics. Basically, research ethic is the guidelines for conducting responsible moral and legal research. So what any type of research you want to conduct should be in the moral, legal, and responsible way. It should be in a more responsible way. No, if you are working on animals, then no animal should be harmed, and if you are working on humans, then no human should and or in their life should not be in danger due to some research, and their all details should be kept confidential, and you have to follow the moral values, and then the legal things. You can't do something illegal, and you can't work on something illegal. You can't work on some research which is illegal. You have to research ethic is protecting the participant, society, and scientific integrity, and research ethics do protect these things, the privacy of the participant, and the moral values of the society, and the legal and scientific integrity, and it also ensure that the research is honest, transparent, and reproducible. So now let's discuss that what are the core principle of medical research ethics. Definitely, you in the next phases you all will be working on different research topics, and you will be studying different topics, different research ideas. You will be exploring different titles and different details, and for that purpose you have to know about the core principle of medical research ethics, that what are the medical research ethics that you should follow while conducting any type of research. So first of all, you have to respect for persons, and also get the informed consent and autonomy from anyone from whom you are getting sample. Let's say you are working on malaria and you are collecting blood samples of the patients of malaria, then you have to get informed consent from that particular person that your blood will be used for that particular person. Or if you are filling a questionnaire related to some particular study, you have to explain to them in the start of that questionnaire that this study will be, or this data will be only used for the research purposes, and you can withdraw at any time from the research, and which should be a beneficence, do good and avoid harm. You have to explain that you have to explain to the patients that this research work is going to help the scientific community, are going to add the gap in the research or fill the gap in the research, and you have to mail to do not inflict harm. You can't inflict harms on your patients or your subjects or any type of if you are working with animals, you are working on some animals, then there should be justice and fair subject selection, and equal treatment should be given, and confidentiality. You have to protect the personal and medical data. If you got any data from the hospital, you will use that data only for research purposes, not for something else, and you will do clear that thing in your ethical approval form. While studying of any research work or any original research work, you need to get ethical approval, and ethical approval forms are available, and different colleges and different institute have different criteria related to the ethical approval of the any study. You can easily get that ethical approval forms and details from your quality and enhancement cells or research cell, or even from your supervisor or your teacher or your department. You can easily get that letters, and then you have to write the synopses, which we will discuss in our upcoming lectures. And also you have to get the ethical approval for your study. So you have to keep in mind all these things while selecting any topic or working on any topic. And before getting approval or submitting application for the ethical approval, you have to work on these things. And then, what is the informed consent in medical research? It is the voluntary agreement to participate after full disclosure. If you are working on questionnaire and you want to study some disease or some particular condition, through questionnaire survey, then you have to, if you are working on the if you are collecting data through the Google Forms, online Google Form, then you have to write it everything down in detail, that what type of data is required and for what purpose that data will be utilized. And then they will give you ethical approval through online. Or even if you are collecting data in the hard form, then you need to tell them, or even you can write in on your questionnaire the detail. You have to write in detail about the research which you want to do on your questionnaire. And then make sure that the participant who fill that questionnaire should sign on that particular questionnaire. And it is essential in clinical trials and surveys. If you are conducting survey or you are conducting any type of clinical trial, you have to get the informed consent from the participant. For example, if you have worked on some particular vaccine and you want to test it on human, and before that human level you have to test it on different animals and to find out the different detail. But let's say that you are at the clinical trial, and you want to inject that particular vaccine to some humans who are the victim of that particular disease or condition. Then you have to make sure that you get ethical approval or the informed consent from that particular participant. And the simple example is that getting detailed consent for a vaccine trial in ICU patient. You want to treat some ICU patient with some particular medicine which is improving very good, and you want to try that. So you have to get the written consent from the patients. Then you can use that particular vaccine. In this case, if they give you written consent and informed consent, and they write it down that they don't have any issue with that particular medicine, and even and after injection of that particular medicine, if the patient dies, then no one will have responsible you, because you have already got the ethical approval for that particular study, and then you have got the informed consent from the participant of the study. And then, what is ethical approval and IRB? IRB, you might have heard this term, which is the Institutional Review Board approval, which is usually mandatory for all type of studies conducted at the college or institute level. And these ethical approvals ensure the study meets the ethical, legal, and scientific standard, like we discussed earlier. And ethical approval or IRB letter is also required at the time of publication in well-indexed journal. If you want to submit article to some particular PMDC journal, let's say, then you do have to provide that ethical approval letter or the IRB letter to that journal in which you are submitting your article. So ethical approval are very compulsory, and as I told you that different institutes have different ethical approval letters. So right now the homework for you people is to find out and search your universities or medical college website and find out that particular ethical approval letters, and download that particular ethical approval letters. Then we will discuss it further, that how to fill that a specific college or specific institute ethical approval. So it is very compulsory, and it is compulsory for any type of research on which you want to work. And then there are common ethical violations which we will study. That the first one is fabrication. And fabrication is basically the making up of data which does not exist, and you create that particular data set. This is called the fabrication of data, and then the falsification, which means to the manipulation of results. If you got negative results and you want to show, and you show that particular result is positive result to complete your degree or your project, then this is the falsification. And then exploiting the vulnerable population. If some population is vulnerable, either it is a human population or animal population, and you do exploit that particular population, that's also the ethical concern or common ethical violation, which is usually take place during the research activities. And the next one is withholding information from the participants. You do not show the complete information to participants. You are going to trial to give a vaccine and conduct a clinical trial about some particular vaccine, and you don't provide the details about that vaccine to the patients or uh, to the to the participants. Is also a common ethical violations. And for example, hiding adverse drug reaction in a cancer trial. You are conducting a research on a cancer and you want to study that particular medicines on humans, and you don't tell them that this cancer medications might cause a stroke or whatever condition it may cause the severe adverse reactions. So these all things are the ethical violation. And while conducting any type of research, either you conduct your research or tomorrow you may be a mentor and one of your students, or you might be a supervisor at some stage of your life, being a professor or assistant professor at any stage of life. So you might be, and then you have to keep all these things in mind and don't do that things that is common ethical violation. And then we will discuss the ethical dilemmas in the medical research. First of all, is using placebo in life-threatening conditions, and also enrolling the unconscious patients without prior consent, and publication of controversial or negative results, and balancing public health with individual privacy. For example, during pandemic. So all these things are the dilemmas, and this was all about the medical ethics or research ethics, which we studied. And we studied about the ethical approval, that it is very compulsory for anyone to conduct research to get the ethical approval. And now you have the first homework of working on your institutional ethical approvals and collecting the documents required for the institutional review board or ethical approval board. So this will also help us during the research, and we will be working on different topics. We will be able to use that particular ethical approvals for our studies. And next is that plagiarism. That what is plagiarism? It's simply that copying someone's work, ideas, or words without credit is plagiarism. If you do not give credit to someone, it's simply plagiarism. You don't give credit to someone who has completed their work. And then it includes the self-plagiarism, which is reusing your own previous work. You have worked previously, and now you fabricate the data, or you're using it again, which is also a plagiarism type. And then is ethical and legal consequences of plagiarism. The first thing is the rejection of the articles and the blacklisting of the particular researcher from different journals or societies, and the legal action against the particular researchers. So you have to avoid all these things. Now we will discuss the types of plagiarism. That what are the different types of plagiarism? Plagiarism first we will discuss the direct plagiarism, that you simply copy and paste without citation. You copy from some article, and there is a reference in front of that particular text or sentence or paragraph, and you don't cite that particular person and don't give credit to that particular person. It is called as direct plagiarism, in which you directly steal or directly get someone's work without giving them credit. And the next thing is paraphrasing plagiarism. You reword the articles, you change the sentences, you rewrite it again, paraphrase it, and do not give the attribution or citation to that particular person or that particular researcher. That is called the paraphrasing plagiarism. And then next is the mosaic plagiarism. So mosaic plagiarism is basically the mixing of the copied content with the original. There are two type of contents. One is the original and the second one is copied. And you do the mosaic type of plagiarism and then just mix both of the copied content and the original content. That is the mosaic plagiarism. And then the fourth type is the self-plagiarism, which is the reusing of previously submitted work, and you have a previously submitted work and you reuse that particular work again. That is called the self-plagiarism. And the example, if we study that copying a published abstract on tuberculosis resistant and then submitting that particular abstract in your own study. So this will be called as plagiarism. And being a medical researcher, you have to look at all these types of plagiarism and avoid all these things and give proper citation to everything that you copied from someone else's work and that you cite from someone else's work. So it's very necessary and important for everyone to avoid that all type of plagiarisms. Well, discussing that you have to avoid plagiarism, let's discuss that how you will avoid the plagiarism. So the first thing is that always cite your sources either in APA style, Vinco style, or any other format or style which is required and is required by the journal or the thesis or the supervisor. So you have to properly cite the sources, and if you copy a sentence from someone, you rephrase that sentence, then you have to give credit to that particular person and cite that particular article, that particular author, that this results or this paragraph is being taken from that particular author or that particular study. And then you have to use the quotation marks for exact words. If you are using or if you are quoting someone exact words, you have to use the quotation. And in previous lectures we do studied about that particular things, and in the upcoming lectures we will be studying more in detail about how to use the quotation marks and all these things. And then you have to paraphrase correctly and acknowledge the ideas you, and then use the plagiarism check software. The most accepted one is the Turnitin, and you can also use Grammarly premium version and Authenticate premium versions. But I will suggest you to always use the Turnitin, and Grammarly can help you to find out your grammatical mistakes, but it is not that much proficient or good in finding the plagiarism. And usually Turnitin is the most reliable software and most accepted software. So whenever you have written a research article, you have to pass it through the Turnitin and check the plagiarism, that how much or how percent of plagiarism is in this particular article. Then we will discuss the role of AI in research, and which are the we will discuss both positive and negative things of the AI in research. Usually, AI is considered as negative thing in the research, and usually people don't like these things. And if you tell someone that you have got some help from the AI, then they don't believe your work or don't trust your particular work. So basically, what is the positive role and how you can use AI is a positive source in your research. So first of all, in for literature search and summarization and these details, you can use AI and it will provide you good results. And then for data cleaning and analysis, you want to remove some particular details from the file. You can use that for from the SPSS file or Python or R or any type of data file. You want to remove something to clean the data or simply even analyze the data. You can take help from AI and you can use AI for that purpose, because that results will be the same if you use different softwares for that results. But you can use it for data cleaning purpose very oftenly. And then you can also get help from AI to manage your reference and formatting details. You can get help from AI to manage your references or to change your references to some particular format or some particular style. And then you can use the drafting structure of review articles and proposal. You can even get the outlines of your research proposed work through AI. And it is not compulsory to use that particular details, but you can get help from that thing. For example, if you use ChatGPT to draft an introduction for a dengue outbreak study, then using that details exactly is not the good thing. But if you get help and you get idea that how I will work on that particular thing, if you are writing an article for some particular research journal and you don't have idea that how I can work on all these things, that how I can get help, that how I will write article according to this journals, then you can simply use ChatGPT or other AI sources to get details about that particular journal, or that how to work on the article, how to set the article according to the other guidelines of that particular journals. You can get this help from AI, and it's very good thing if you get this type of help from AI. But you can't rely totally in on AI. And the role of AI in research, where we will discuss the ethical concerns related to the AI, is the first one is that our reliance reduce the originality. If you rely too much on AI and use AI for the much of the data you have generated, and so this will reduce the originality, and you might miss the point of the originality in that particular details and in that studies. And the second thing is that AI generated content may contain factual errors. There might different errors in the AI generated content references. If you get references for some article or some paragraph from AI, the AI might give you wrong references, and it can produce plagiarism without user knowing. It can do produce plagiarism, and AI can get plagiarism. It can raise questions about the authorship and the accountability. And for example, if you write, this is very ethical concern. If you are submitting an AI generated case report as a original work, for example, you have studied about some particular case and you fed that to AI and write a particular case report on that particular person or that particular disease through AI and submit that as original work. So this is very unethical, and it has ethical concerns. So you can use AI for your help, for your guidance, but you can't rely totally on the AI, because the our reliance will reduce the originality, and it will fade the quality of the work. So how to use AI responsibly in research, and what are the ideas, what are the things that you can do with the AI very easily. For example, the first thing is use of idea generation, summaries, and formatting. These things are very important. If you want to generate an idea, you have different ideas, and you want to know about the current status of the research in that particular field or on that particular idea. Then you can use idea generation. You can use AI for the idea generation. You can summarize. You can summarize different details. You can even use AI for formatting of article or formatting of some text. So always verify the fact and rephrase AI outputs. You can't rely totally on AI. And if you have used AI for some particular paragraph or study or any type of help, you have to refresh that thing, and you have to disclose the AI assistant in the methods if applicable. If you have used AI, you have to disclose that thing in the methodology section, that I have used AI to generate ideas, or to generate a simply methodology, or to compare the results of different terms or different things. So you have to use all these details, and mention everything in the methodology if it is applicable. And yes, always never let AI replace your critical analysis or literature. If you have done literature review and you want to refine it, or you want to make it more attractive, or remove grammatical mistakes from that particular paragraph or that particular write-up, do not use AI, because it will cause AI. And now in Turnitin, you can have both AI and plagiarism check. Where you can check that how much and plagiarism, and to what percent AI is present in that particular article. So you have to submit nowadays the both files. And then there is authorship and contribution ethics, and all listed authors must have made substantial contribution to that particular article or that particular study. You cannot add someone to the article in which they have not worked, but there must be substantial contribution to of that person to the article. And if the ghost authorship is unethical, and use ICMG criteria for the authorship details. And for example, lab technician listed as author without writing or data work. So it's not a good practice, and you have to avoid these things. And about the references and citation ethics, although we will have a detailed lecture on how to use different software like EndNote or Zotero or Mendeley for referencing. But there are certain ethics related to the referencing and the citation. It is called as the referencing and citation ethics. and the every idea, fact, or statistic not your own must be cited. If you have used the idea or the fact or mentioned some details in the results or sorry in the discussion portion that your result match with the particular results of that person, so you have to cite that thing, and you can use different style according to the required requirement of the institution or the journal. You can use APA, Harvard, or different styles of references and citation. For example, citing a WHO study on COVID-19 efficacy. So you have to write all these things, and if you do after all these things, we have studied about the ethical details of different things, that what are the different ethics related to different fields. Now, what are the consequences of ethical misconduct? If you do ethical misconduct, so what will be the consequences? The first thing is that article rejection and detection. Your article might get rejected and might be retracted from the journal even after publication, even after the if you have published an article 5 years ago and the article was AI generated or the article was plagiarized, and at that time skip the journals, but at later time they find out that this article is plagiarized, they will definitely remove that particular article from the website. This is called as retraction. If you have done any other ethical misconduct or misuse someone data, edit someone's data without their consent, or did not give authorship to someone who was capable or who have done particular work in that study, so your article might get rejected from journal or even get retracted from the journal even after the publication. And there might be loss of funding or academic position if you are practicing if you are not up to date about the ethical misconducts, and you do the ethical misconducts, you do such type of work, then you might lose funding. If different institutes are funding for different research purposes and they find out that you are not working up to the ethical approvals, then they might stop the funding or the academic position or even remove you from some academic position. And it also damages the professional reputation if you are a professor or assistant professor or at some other position, and there is an ethical misconduct activity against you, and it might cause damage the professional reputation and the institutional blacklisting. The institution blacklisting is that if you are found that you are conducting ethical misconduct, you have done ethical misconduct, then institute might block you. And now there will be study, the different case study from medical research. The first one is that researchers fabricates patient data in a liver transplant study. That is also the misuse of or the violation of the ethical conduct of research. And the case 2 is that AI generated thesis chapter fails plagiarism check. Yes, that can fail that plagiarism check. And the consent skip for clinical study on sedative in ICU. So these are all the types of ethical misconducts. And what are the best practices for ethical medical research, and how you will do that particular work? So the first thing is that to obtain an IRB letter or the ethical approval, and then disclose all that conflict of interest if there is any conflict of interest. Disclose all of these conflict of interest, and then use plagiarism checking tools like Turnitin, and then cite and acknowledge properly different cite and acknowledge properly. And if you are using someone else's data, if you are citing someone else's work, you have to properly cite them and add the references at the end. And you have to use the AI ethically and transparently, and stay updated on the guidelines. You can use COP, WHO, or ICMGE guidelines for your research and follow that for the plagiarism, AI, and all these details. So the conclusion and discussion of this today's lecture is that research must be ethical, original, and responsible, and the plagiarism and unethical use of AI will damage the credibility and also make honesty, transparency, and integrity your foundation, and work with honesty, transparency, and integrity. For example, we studied that obtain IRB letter is the first thing. If you after confirmation or finalization of the article, you have to get ethical approval from your institute. So this was all about today's lecture, in which we studied about the ethics of different research related details, AI, plagiarism, and all these things. Now, if you have any question, you are welcome, and you can easily ask your questions.